All right. Hey, Drew, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, so we have Drew Williams. He's the co founder and managing partner at Aiden Main, and they have an amazing business that we're going to be learning about in Dallas. Uh, you guys build custom homes as well as ready for the market homes. So we want to explore that and what the niche is and how you got to that point. But first of all, we would love to learn about your real estate story, your estate journey, and what got you to where you are, and why are you focusing in real estate?
Yeah, it is not a story that starts with real estate. I was in corporate finance in my early career years, and I had an opportunity to work for a little startup at the time called Tinder. Running finance and operations. And that experience in itself gave me the entrepreneurial critical thinking bug. And so when that tenure ended, I my dad had always been in construction. He built and sold houses for like 30 years, I think, a little short of 30 years. And I reconnected with a high school friend of mine that had a less than stellar experience building his custom home. And we both were like-minded and loved real estate and had an itch to do something ourselves. And so we bought 3 lots. That was in 2019, early 2019. 8 years later, we say that we have figured out our what we do and how we do it well. And I'm happy to talk about that and share more about what we do, how we do it, and how that's ever changing.
Very cool story. Thank you. I know, like each story for and real estate is different, right? And I think not many people start with real estate. We discover it and we fall in love with it. That definitely happened to me as well. And I was in the consulting world, which has been amazing too, and learning from top notch people. But then once I discovered real estate and how you touch and relate with people, that definitely um, made me passionate about the industry, and that's why
Yeah.
I continue coming back to it and continue wanting to network and learn from you guys.
Yeah, so to take that and go a step further into what Eighth and Main does, what our business does. You mentioned it, but we focus mostly on luxury custom homes and are starting to grow a small business, medium commercial arm to our construction as well. But focusing on the luxury custom, so we build houses that are one of one. We start with an architect. Sometimes plans come into us already developed, but we have never built a blueprint twice. Your house is going to be completely unique and custom to you. And that itself creates different challenges, different processes, different preparation than a speculative builder. And the customer relationship, time and time again, is the most important thing for what we're doing. Um, Construction is hard enough. We're still man-made homes, building them with our hands through for us subcontractors. So that process has its own challenges that come with it. But managing and maintaining a really good client relationship can lead to a successful build no matter what challenges come in front of us, because we're really good at problem solving construction items. um, it's a little bit harder to navigate some of the client concerns and questions that come up along the way, and that's where over the last 8 years we believe mastered that technique. A question as simple as "What is my house going to cost?" or "How long is it going to take?" Are two very common questions, but two incredibly difficult questions to answer before we know the answer. And so just managing expectations and managing those questions up front, coming at it with a seriousness, but an expertise to be able to deliver the right answer in those moments, because the part that I love the most is those folks, those clients are trusting us with what most likely is the biggest investment they're going to make. We take that very, very seriously. As I mentioned to you before, off camera, we are not the stars of the show. You, the client, are the star of the show in the middle. I am a builder, or I, as a builder, am the asset to you. I am a tool for you, the client. So that's why, if it's something that you would like in your house, the answer is going to be yes. Um, Now we try to make sure that we have all of those answers up front, because answering those, building the plane while you're flying it is very difficult. And so our preparation generally takes a little bit longer than others because we want to make sure that once we break ground, once we put that shovel into the dirt, um, we are flying from there. And that's the right way to do it, is to be incredibly prepared.
Cool. That's amazing what you guys are building there. Um, so coming back to that, you guys leverage a real-time project dashboard to give clients full insight into like current um, labor costs and budget photos and change orders. How does that What is the challenge of you guys doing that, and how has that changed the relationship with your clients?
Yeah, so you're right. We use a technology called Builder Trend. There's a few out there. We've chosen Builder Trend. We think it gives us the best variety of tools to use to manage our projects. Um, it's not perfect. It's new. We are still learning and diving in day by day. But like you said, it effectively gives the client a real time insight into their project. We operate on a cost plus fixed fee model. So our fee to build the house is carved out and set aside over here, and then the rest of the house is a cost plus model. We don't go into that guessing and hoping. We do get hard bids, but should those hard bids change, should a tile selection change, should a paint or countertop selection, when you get to that final point, say no, I like something different. That cost is passed through to the customer, or reduction is passed through to the customer. But they also see that real time via this Builder Trend portal. They have access to purchase orders, real time invoices. So it, m- the you know, if anything, it's a trust building exercise to show someone exactly what it's going to take to build your house, and cost, and the schedule that we show, messages, pictures, videos, client updates, basically anything you can think of that could happen on paper, text, call, email. We're trying to get into Builder Trend at this point. And again, it's a learning experience. I think in a modern world where we see everything as it's happening, when you know when the pizza is going into the oven at your local pizza place, or the driver has picked up your food from a food delivery, we have a thought that that same transparency can be built into construction. Um, I also think there's some areas where it's too much. Um, for instance, if we release our internal schedule to clients, where we've got, for a framing package, let's drill down. We release a schedule for a framing package and a framing plan. We're going to do main walls, second walls, trusses, exterior, all of the things. Um, but it's not always going to happen in that exact order or in that specific amount of days for that specific line item, just because it's construction and things happen. But what we do know is we have a really good sense that our framing is going to take, say, 3 weeks for that project. So is radical transparency showing them every line item and adjusting and letting them feel those emotional swings that can come if you're not used to building a home, and not having necessarily the full big picture as you're looking down on the schedule. Um, is it a better tool for us to show the 3-week time frame for framing? I think probably. So there's the cost side of it. We're always going to be as granular as possible because we want that to be where trust is earned mostly on the finances. Um, but the other ways that we do it with schedules and updates, we're figuring out what's the right mix there, right? What level do people want to have access to, or what is the best way for us to communicate things without having to tell someone, every week that this moved a day or this pulled back a day, or that's probably not a real helpful exercise at the end of the day. And that's why they're coming to us, right? It's because we have the expertise in building this home, and that doesn't bother us as it probably doesn't you and your viewers in the construction world, because we know where this will end up. So that's I think that we're probably ahead of most when it comes to using technology. But now I want to get down to those nuanced. What is the best way to build a luxury custom home? Um, because those folks that are building these homes generally are going to have an expectation that they have real time insight. And if you can't deliver that, they're going to choose someone else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um, more luxury, more high expectations, right? And more transparency, I guess, that you gotta show.
Yeah, and these are big generalities, right? I don't like to bucket folks or groups of people into different categories, but one of the things that we say is we would build a $400,000 house the same exact way that we're going to build a $4 million house. It's going to take a little more time, and it's going to take a little more patience on a much bigger scale project. But what I'm learning is I think psychologically there is a different expectation at those levels. Uh,
Hmm.
there's just different characteristics. Maybe one is financed and one is cash, and those kinds of things. Um, but our aim is to make everyone that we're building for happy using this tool. But the folks that are really, really that are building that higher level home seem to have a different level of engagement with the project and those expectations. So we build it for everyone. I like to think that our clients all have a good experience with the tool, but yeah, as the scope and scale changes, there are definitely some differences. Yeah. And that's also true about a commercial project, right? It doesn't even necessarily have to be the budget. On a commercial project, if it's somebody owning a business and it's their livelihood, versus an investor building a strip mall to be leased out or sold, those expectations are different as well. So it's not even necessarily an economical approach. I guess the right way to say that is you just learn that there's all different types of expectations. But what I'm trying to set is the expectation for your project client, because that's why you trusted us and came to us, is to build your home or your business.
And so many builders shy away from the cost plus model because there's a perceived friction. But you guys have in your business, you've actually scaled on it. So, what, in your opinion, what are the biggest misconceptions that clients have on the cost plus models, and how have you successfully managed the cost expectations in these market that's pretty volatile, right? In terms of materials and labor costs.
Yeah. So two initial ways to answer that question. From a builder's perspective, I believe that it is the most fair way for me to build a house or a building for someone. What we do is we build on a cost plus a fixed fee uh, contract. Our fee is negotiated and determined ahead of time before the project starts, and it is set aside. I have no incentive to increase the cost of your house because I don't make any more money on a percentage basis. I don't have any reason to decrease the cost of your house because I don't make more money as the cost comes down. That goes straight to you. I can strategically save you money where the opportunities arise, It does not benefit me in any way or Eighth and Main in any way to change the cost of your house. With that said, if there are major scope changes, the fee likely could change. But if it's something that is relatively minor, we call those no pass through change orders. Just we're going to pass through the cost or the savings straight to you, and so that builds a really high level amount of trust between us and our clients. Um, but there's a level of administrative and overhead and processes that come into play when you're showing people invoices real time. You have to really trust your bidding ability. You have to trust your allowances, your selections. And so what we did, so from a builder's perspective, that's why a lot of builders don't do it. One, because they believe that they can either probably make more money with a fixed price contract, because they can, and I'm not trying to say anything nefarious happens, but say that something comes in a little bit less, that builder just made a little bit more profit. Um, and it's also a very, very heavy administrative burden to keep all of those records at that level, updated day to day, showing the transparent um, uh, invoice level details. So those two things in my mind are what have driven fixed price as a more common approach. I think it's the most fair approach to do cost plus, and I think our clients resonate with that as well. They would say, "Yeah, I totally understand. I am the one that's owning this house. I should pay what the cost is." Take that fixed price model into any other industry, and it's not necessarily as good of an approach. But the most asked question that we've gotten is, I understand cost plus, but how do I protect myself from the cost going way up? Because if the costs are mine as a homeowner, then I need to know that I have confidence in what you're telling me is the right cost. So we do bid and purchase orders before we break ground. So we get hard bids on all of our construction trades. That's usually 80-ish% of the project. And then what we do is we work with designers to finish the selections and interior design. Um, Most, if not all of that should come before we sign a contract. That in itself gives a homeowner a lot of confidence that they can go and click on that HVAC line item and see exactly what that quote says, right? But then you have to know that when you purchase that HVAC unit in 2 months, that the price is going to stay the same. So that's where we use our purchase orders and our procurement. Um, when we sign a contract, we very quickly initiate a round of purchase orders and start purchasing items, windows, appliances, masonry, anything that we can purchase from day one, we do. It locks in that pricing, it minimizes any variances, and it gives the consumer a lot of confidence that their budgeted amount is going to stay relatively close to where it is. Um, I can tell you, I've never had a budget land on the same exact penny as we contracted, but we're usually very, very close. We just finished one that we were slightly under. So it comes with some certain challenges, uh, but I believe it's the most fair. And if you're willing to put in the work, I believe it's the most honest way to build a house.
Cool. Yeah. I don't think any service providers would say we end exactly at what was quoted at the beginning, right? Because there's so many changing circumstances and
That
dependencies. But yeah,
that's right. I mean, our second year in business was COVID. And for builders that had to experience this will really get it. When we were, lumber was twice as much as it was 6 months before, where our brick was taking 40 weeks. I mean, that's almost a year. Appliances were take what you can get. Is it in stock? I'll take it. It was a really crazy time for procurement, supply chains, pricing. So that really shed a light on ways that we can protect ourselves in cost plus. And again, that's getting bids up front, and then that's POing and having a really tight procurement schedule afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. So AI is also changing the real estate industry, like any other industry, and it's definitely anybody that is not using it is falling behind in many aspects. What are you guys doing? How are you using it? And where do you think AI is going? Where are you thinking you're gonna start using it more?
Yeah. I'll talk about the tools we use in just a second. The first thing I'll say is, being man-made structures, right? Homes, custom homes, commercial businesses. I don't believe AI is coming for our specific trades itself. But one of the things that my business partner really wisely said one time is, yes, but anybody that could be impacted by AI is going to start looking at the trades that aren't, like construction and like home building. So we are using AI to kind of stay ahead of that game and further strengthen our position, further build trust in the market. So we use two tools. Our day to day, we use Google Workspace. So our AI is
Hmm.
Google Gemini.
Yep.
That's kind of the basic tip of the iceberg. Clean up this email, do a research report. I have a question on this, and that works really well. And it works for the ease of quick answers. But for our more advanced AI programs, we're using Manis, Manus. It is, I believe, now owned by Meta, and it's a really great tool. So Manus is one where you would enter a prompt, and I'll tell you one. I'll kind of explain the first thing we did with it. You enter a prompt to say, "Hey, I want you to, in effect, replace my weekly uh, accounts payable and bookkeeping process." So go into my email, look for anything that looks like an invoice or reads like an invoice, double check that it's into Builder Trend. If it's not, go ahead and get it over into Builder Trend. And then once it's in Builder Trend and you've recognized all the invoices for the week, compare those to POs. Do they have a PO already? If they don't, that's a problem. Um, and if they do, are they matching? Does the price of the invoice, does the cost of the invoice match the PO? If it doesn't, that's a problem. Recognize all of those problems and send them out to our team to say, hey, here's the things you need to look at this week. The team goes and reconciles those. It can go back and tell Manus, okay, now you're ready to go. Get these into a ready for payment status. And then what I won't let AI do is press the pay button. That's still up to me. That still takes physical hands, but that just eliminated a good amount of work in itself. Um, so that was the eye-opening experience. Where we're going to take that now is there's a desk right here that is unused at our office, and we're going to start purchasing probably MacBook Minis or Mac Airs, and those are going to be representing an employee. So Manus is our tool. The first one we're going to be calling Manny. uh Marketing, like there are so many different tools that we can use. I it was funny, I was having a conversation with one of my team members today, and she said, you're not trying to get rid of me, are you? And I said, no, what I want eventually is I want you to be managing our AI agents. And so I'm sorry, I've got a wasp right here. Okay, sorry, that was a big wasp. I didn't want to.
Yeah, you don't want to be bitten by that for
That thing
sure.
was literally flying right around my leg.
Same
What I
here.
told her is I could see her managing a workforce. I mean, she could quite literally be a manager of our AI agent employees. And that in itself just sounded really cool to say out loud, frankly. But then to think about what that actually means was even cooler. Cause subtle changes here in tone or voice and these things start learning, right? How do you present yourself as eighth and main? How do you talk through things? How do you, oh, I'm sorry I said it this way. I won't say that again. These things are getting very, very smart. And as long as you're willing to put in the time to give it some structure, it it eventually, I think, will free up so much time. And the folks that do use it, to your point, I think will start to leapfrog the ones that don't.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're seeing that for sure and in different industries, right? It's just so much
And so what is
work
like
that is administrative that you can automate and that really you have people that don't really want to do it. And now you have a machine that
machine?
can do it 24/7 and it doesn't mind.
And put that into a real world example, like what does that actually mean? Leapfrog other people, right? Don't you all build good homes? Like you're a good builder, I'm a good builder. We all build the same home. What does that mean? Leapfrog. So take for instance marketing. Um, One of the things that we get into when we market to people, which right now is mostly word of mouth, is our quality and our trust building. Trust building is really hard to do. You have to do it over time. It has to be face to face interactions, site visits. I think that I can do that and start to accomplish some of that trust building without ever actually talking to someone directly by doing videos, by do other influencers and folks in the space do the same thing. But if someone's heard my voice and they've heard me talk about a cost plus contract on Facebook or Instagram or whatever platform, that in itself, there already feels like a connection, right? When hey, I've heard you talk
Yeah,
about that before. That's not
yeah,
a new concept to me. And so it makes that first conversation a little bit easier. And what I want to do is use AI to, like, here's a prompt I would put into Manis: develop a 12-month marketing plan for me based around trust building, interviews, on site explanations, one on one Q&As, customer conversations. Develop me that for a 12-month period. And I want to have somewhere between 3 to 6 posts a week. And then it'll develop the plan for you. And then it just tells you, okay, here's the days you need to film. Here's the days you need to, and that right there in itself, was probably like a $5,000 exercise with a consultant. And then that consultant's going to want to keep doing those things for you and then and then they want to So I'm not saying that I like to work with people. I trust people. I love. If you don't have a good answer, that's where leapfrogging happens. If you don't have a good answer for that, they're going to say, well, that other builder had a really good answer. And so I might go with them. Um, to the point where, generally speaking, when we get into competitions with other builders, when we have, folks who are looking at multiple builders, generally speaking, we're the highest price. Now we're not astronomically outside of the range. Um, but we oftentimes still win that client because our process and our communication.
absolutely. That's great. Well, Jude, thank you very much. One last thing. Any lesson learned that you wanna enlighten us with? Any other developers or operators that you think would be useful? Um, any lessons learned that you've had in your journey?
Yeah. AI is definitely one of those. Jump on that. I think we hit a lot of the high points that I would tell people. Um, I would, even if you think it may make you a little bit less money over the long run, go cost plus. It's a better exercise, in my opinion. One thing that we have learned is things that sometimes seem easier can make life harder. We built speculative for a little while. We built spec homes. And when the market was good, it was really good. When the market crashed, it burned us a few times. What we have found, this is the lesson: find what works for you. That's the find what works for you. We have found that building for people and using that really high level of customer experience works for us. For a certain for certain people, that may not be the best experience. Some folks don't want to have a client to work with; they want to build it for themselves. And then diversification. Real estate is generally not all good at the same time. You've got residential, commercial, investment properties, apartments, multi data centers, right? Diversify. Don't lock yourself into one thing. If the luxury home market slows down in our area, which it doesn't show signs of doing anytime soon, we start to fall back on commercial more, or we do investments, or we do developments. So having an ability to do all of that also makes you a better construction or real estate asset to people in their goals. So yeah, find what works for you. Keep exploring and do multiple things.
Great advice. Yep. Thank you, Drew. So we're gonna post information on how to get in touch with you and how to work with you, as well as your contact information in the company. But any other ways for people to get a hold of you or that they
Yes.
can work with you?
Yeah, 8th and Main, like the intersection is our company name. It's the intersection named after our hometown here in Midlothian, Texas. Our website is www.8thandmainco.com. There you'll see some photos. There's bios of our team because again, we want to build trust. And one of the coolest things that my business partner implemented is there's a cost calculator. So if you have a few steps, a few pieces of information about what you're wanting, and we can start to give you a pretty good range of costs that it could take. And so that's another tool that we use as a marketing and engagement tool. Come see how much it would cost to build your custom home, kind of thing. And it works really well. So if anybody's interested, I'd love to talk to them. Um, but also a good place to look. We're on social media as well, Instagram, Facebook as well. So
Cool. I'll definitely play around with it.
yeah, yeah, please do.
Drew, thank you very much. I look forward to continuing working with you and like our conversations. But this was so insightful and so helpful. Thank you uh for your time today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, thank you.